Human imagination is powerful and limitless, but to take a vision and make it a reality is something else entirely. To that end, today I'm about to show you a home that I think will leave you absolutely breathless. Hello, Bruce.
Bryce.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Oh my goodness, this cottage, it actually looks like it has just jumped from the pages of a storybook, doesn't it?
It does, it does. My friends refer to it as a Hansel and Gretel cottage, so I sort of feel like I'm living in a fairy tale. I used to live in the country in a place called Rock Creek, and everybody lived in small cottages, and that was back in the 60s and the early 70s. So that was really where my first introduction to living small came, and I thought, well, let's build something that reminds me of those early days. And I was online one day and saw a photograph of a whimsical treehouse that was built. And I thought, boy, if we could get a structure similar to that in this location here, it would be exceptional. So I contacted the builders, Daniel Huscroft and Tim Lindberg of Lindberg Homes, and asked them if they could build a cottage of similar character. And I asked them if they would be interested in coming and having a look at the location and see if they felt it was appropriate for their cottage. They came and had a look, and the project proceeded from there.
The construction of this home just looks so unique. How did you actually go about building it, and what kind of materials were used in the construction?
All the materials came locally from the island here. The timbers were milled at a friend of Daniel and Tim's, and so they milled all the timbers, the shakes for the roof, the stones for the patio here were all from the island, and we tried to source this locally as much as possible.
And what about the walls? How has this been accomplished? Is that just a normal timber frame underneath that, or is that an earthen building?
It's a timber frame underneath, and if you look closely at the sides, you can see it goes out towards the top. So there's a timber frame, but you know, once that timber frame was done, the shape was derived from framing on top of the timber frame to create the shape that we have now. The
whole style of this building is just so whimsical, and there's definitely something about building a structure like that in an environment like this as well. It perfectly marries to the place where it is, isn't it?
It's completely appropriate to the location, I think.
So how large is this cottage actually?
About 450, 500 square feet, but then it has the loft upstairs, so altogether it's about 600 square feet.
And how do you find living in a space that size?
Well, I've been living in it for about 1.5 years now, almost 2 years, and I'm really seeing the advantages of living small.
There are so many unique elements that have gone into the building of this cottage. I'm noticing immediately these incredibly well done shingles. How did you even accomplish the curves on the roof using these materials?
We bought the cedar blocks on the northern part of the island, brought them down here, and we built our own froe, the tool that you use for splitting the shakes off the block. And we made a curved froe, so we could peel these shakes off in a curved shape. So they came off the block curved like that. But the ones on the top of the roof, we had to steam. They're curved in a different direction. So it was a long, involved process. We had to boil a 45-gallon drum of water. It took many hours to get the water boiling, and then put a plywood structure on top to hold the steam in, and then throw the shakes in that and let them cook for, you know, many hours, 5-6 hours, before they were pliable enough to bend, and then push them between two timbers down with your foot to get them to curve, and then just let them sit there for a couple of hours before they dry out enough so you could pull them out and they would stay in shape. So it was a lot of work, but I think the finished product was well worth the effort. So. And
the doors and windows, they're all obviously custom to the project as well?
Yes, the front door was built by the fellow that did the windows, and the hardware for the door was done by a local metal artist by the name of Jake James, and he did the hardware and he did the mushroom cap on the vent at the back.
Well, I am very excited to see what you've actually done with the inside of the house. Can we go have a look?
Yes, absolutely. Come on in.
This is a lot more contemporary in here, isn't it?
It is. It doesn't seem to match the outside, but you know, it's very functional and it's practical, and that's really what I was looking for.
So we're standing in the kitchen right now, and this is obviously a very functionally designed kitchen. It actually looks like it would be a joy to cook in here.
It is, other than the fact that there's no oven. I mean, because it was meant for short-term visits. But you know, I'm getting along fine without an oven. You know, I couldn't be happier with the size or the practicality of it. Although it doesn't look practical from the outside, it's very, very practical inside.
And it still has those very warm cottage elements, like this spectacular fireplace, which is built from stone.
This place gets very warm from that fireplace in the wintertime. It's just a wonderful design. Everything about it just worked out so nicely.
And it looks like you've got a really wonderful spot there just to sit and do some writing or some work. And oh my gosh, looking at that view outside just must be heaven every day.
It is. It's a fantastic place to live. Eating at that table and enjoying the view is wonderful. And perhaps the only drawback is that living on the water, there's constantly boats going by. And so you sort of feel like you're living in a bit of a fishbowl here. People looking at you all the time. But, you know, it's just part of living in an unusual building. And
yeah, if you don't want to be looked at, don't build a house like this one.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson.
And then behind us here we have the bathroom.
Yes, once again, not whimsical, but practical. Has everything you require in a bathroom, shower and sink and everything. And actually the beam up on that forms the window up there was a branch off an arbutus tree that was sourced from the forest right here. And it forms the round shape of the roof up there, which is quite interesting, I think.
Having those elements in the house really adds to the organic nature of the design, because actually, for example, having that window shape and the whole section of that roof being completely dictated by that bit of wood that you found in the forest, that just adds so much character to the house, doesn't it?
The house is loaded with character, and it's just details like that make it more interesting, and you know, adds an organic touch to it.
And we still have the whole upstairs area to go.
Yes, the loft. It's very comfortable up there. You see the stairs were organically shaped. Nothing was done to code, but they work fine.
Did you build storage or anything into these stairs?
Yeah, everything, the electric panel and the hot water tank and everything is under there. So I mean, there's no space in this building, so everything has to be located so that it's not taking up any room.
And can we go further up?
Yeah, sure. Please have a look.
Oh yeah, what a great looking space up here.
There's more room than you would actually imagine there is. But yeah, a queen size bed, I mean, it's totally comfortable here. It's everything that you need. So for two people, it's just great.
It's really nice as well how, firstly, you've got a good amount of space in here, and the way that it opens up to the house below is really nice as well.
Yes, it's a great view from up here looking down into the fireplace. It's fantastic, it really is.
We should go back downstairs.
Okay, let's do that.
So you've been here now for a year and a half, living in this space full time. What has that experience been like for you?
It's been a wonderful experience. It's been transformative, really. I have never actually lived in a structure this size before, but I'm really appreciating living small. And of course, the location is fantastic as well. So, you know, there's nothing to not like about it, really. You know, everybody that sees it, well, first of all, they smile because it makes you feel good just to look at the building. It's almost like looking at a cartoon. And it's just a wonderful feeling. It's just a warm, inviting place to live.
This must have been a very complicated, very labor-intensive build. Dare I say that it must have also been a pretty expensive project to complete?
It was certainly more expensive than a traditional build, that's for sure.
And can I ask what the cost of this project actually was in the end?
Close to $175,000. My labor that went into it, there was no value to that, of course, no cost. And they basically did it at cost as well.
And that cost, that's not only creating a wonderful, functional, comfortable home, that's also creating what is essentially a masterpiece, isn't it? This is a truly innovative design that's made out of all of these fairy tale elements and actually brought it all to life in this building. So in that respect, I think that's remarkable.
As I say, people, when they first see it, they smile. And it's a project that is gaining more notoriety all the time because it's accessible to everybody. I mean, if it was in the forest, nobody would be able to see it. But here, a lot of people get to see it, and which is nice. And I think it's satisfying for Tim and Daniel as well because you know, this is their baby, and people are enjoying it wildly.
When I first saw this cottage, it definitely put a really big smile on my face. So thank you very much for sharing this place with me, Bruce.
My pleasure.
I am in love with this cottage. It's so exciting to see such creativity brought to life in a building, and to see it actually being lived in as such a functional home is truly brilliant. I really hope that you've enjoyed this tour as much as I have. And you know what? I think wherever you are in the world, it's just really nice to know that there are places like this actually out there being lived in.